What are your views on President Tinubu's major shakeup and the appointment that he made? It was on this program that we gave you the breaking news just about this time yesterday. And a lot of Nigerians are already talking about it, the balancing in terms of federal character, the abilities and the character, the capacity of those who have now been appointed. Plus, we'll touch on the PDP. The PDP is introspecting. They're looking at what happened in 2023, and they say they want to begin the process of reconciliation. What about the APC? We'll be getting perspectives from both parties tonight and getting insight on the appointment. I'll be joined by a very senior citizen who understands, who was a former military governor in Nigeria. We'll be getting a lot of perspectives tonight on the program. It promises to be a very interesting and engaging one. Well, first and foremost, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The Sokoto State Governor, Mr. Ahmed Aliyu, says he's disappointed over the state of the state-owned specialist hospital located within the Sokoto metropolis. The governor paid an unscheduled visit to the hospital, disguising himself and riding in on a tricycle at about midnight, and went straight to inspect the patient wards and other parts of the hospital.
I have been receiving so many complaints about the condition of this hospital, that is specialist hospital.
The governorship candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party in Cross River State, Mr. Wilfred Bonse, is raising an alarm over the 2023 governorship election as the logo of his party was omitted on the ballot paper. Addressing a news conference in Calabar, the candidate accused Independent National Electoral Commission INEC of deliberately sidelining the party despite several court rulings.
The absence of the party's logo on the ballot paper during the governorship election.
And from Ogun State, the immediate past Speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, Mr. Olakunde Oluomo, has been re-elected as the Speaker of the 10th Legislature, while Bolanle Ajayi from the Yewa South State constituency emerged as the Deputy Speaker. The new Speaker and his deputy were elected by the 26-member House unopposed in a session presided over by the Clerk of the House, Deji Adeyemo. The People's Democratic Party in Imo State has assured the people of the state that there is no cause for alarm, as the party still remains intact and optimistic of winning the November governorship elections, despite the defection of some key members in its state working committee to the APC. Addressing journalists in the word, the Imo State capital, the party says the reasons given by the 7 officials who left the party for the APC is false, insisting that they left due to their misappropriation and embezzlement of the sum of 1.4 billion naira PDP presidential campaign funds meant for Imo State during the presidential election.
In Imo State here, I was the Deputy Director of Finance in the presidential campaign of His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Over 1.4 billion naira sent to Imo for the management of that election till date remains unaccounted for.
The Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC in Ekiti State, has been condemning the manner in which the State House of Assembly extended the tenure of the local government administration from 2 to 3 years. IPAC, in an interaction with journalists in Ado Ekiti, says non-invitation of other political parties to make such input on such a sensitive matter raises suspicion that the current administration in the state has ulterior motives ahead of the local government elections.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. So let's get started. Some of the activities that we're seeing at the presidential villa. Today, one of the persons that are being appointed as part of the service chiefs, there is now a new guard in the rank and file of the Nigerian police. Now, there is a new Inspector General of Police, and he's AIG Kayode Egbetokun. He has today assumed office and he's been decorated by the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima. Well, that decoration was done alongside with the wife of Mr. Egbetokun. Mr. Egbetokun also helped the Vice President to decorate the new Inspector General of Police. There are the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the Governor of Imo State, the Chief of Staff were all present to experience or to look at that exercise, as there is an official change of guard that was performed by the Vice President Kashim Shettima. And this is quite interesting. Just afterwards, you see, there's a first salute. I'll allow you, I won't tell you the second person that the acting IG saluted, but you see for yourself. He saluted the vice president first. Then you see who he then salutes, his second boss. Who runs the world? Well, that is very exciting for me today, seeing that scenario playing out. But after that decoration ceremony, this is what a new IG, well, the outgoing IG, Usman Baba, also was there. I'll allow you to listen to what was said afterwards.
Now I have just been decorated and I'm looking forward to taking over tomorrow morning by 11 a.m. I really can't describe how I feel presently, but if I have to tell you anything, I will tell you that right now I feel like a tiger inside of me, ready to chase away all the criminals in Nigeria. And some other time I feel like a lion in me, ready to devour all the enemies, internal enemies of Nigeria. That's my feeling right now. Thank you.
It's a stage. You come, you walk, and you go. I'm happy I'm handing over to somebody I know that will carry the mantle of leadership from where I have stopped. We grew up in the job. We grew up together. I was his boss at the time, not even when I was IG. He worked under me twice. We've been working together, and I know how he can go ahead to champion the cause of the police from where I have stopped.
From the new IG to the old IG, there you go, a changes button in the police force. But of course, there was a major shakeup, an announcement made yesterday by the federal government through the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, a new Chief of Army Staff, new Chief of Defense Staff, new Chief of Naval Staff, new Chief of Air Staff, and of course, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu announced as the National Security Advisor. But for some reasons, you can see how these appointments have been made from across the country, where some of these service chiefs are from, and of course you can see where, the diversity perhaps or not. There's been a lot of debate about this, whether or not there is some kind of observance to the issues of federal character, and perhaps you can see for yourself. But I'll allow my guests to give us an insight on that. For, of course, the Chief of Defense Staff from the Northwest, the Chief of Air Staff from the Northwest, the National Security Advisor from the Northeast, and the Chief of Army Staff from Southwest Osun State, the Acting Inspector General of Police from the Southwest Ogun State, and the Chief of Naval Staff from the South, and the Chief of Defense Intelligence from the South. So you can see how these has come up. There are different appointments that have also been ordered and directed by the president. The president also ordered that there would be the solution of the boards of federal government parastatals and agencies with immediate effect, except for those involving INEC and judiciary. So those ones are not touched, or those captured in Section 135 of the Constitution. So let's get some insight. Plus, also, we'll be getting you insight from what happened today in the PDP. But let's deal with this first and foremost. I'm being joined by a former military administrator in Ondo, military governor of Ondo State, a member of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, Chief Olabode, joins us live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Yes, it's always my pleasure. You caught me on the wrong side. We were right in the middle of the meeting when you called and I said, would you be able to make it up? I said, well, why not? You know, in the service of this country, no problem.
Yeah, and thank you so much for making it into our Abuja studio.
Yes,
we always had you
in
the Lagos studio. Thank you so much for making it here.
A pleasure.
As a former military man yourself, can I call Bola Tinubu your friend now?
He had never been my enemy.
Yeah, but you've been on the different side of the political divide.
We will remain.
But you've never agreed for a long time.
We will still remain on the different sides of the political divide because he belongs to the APC. I'm an irredentist member of the political.
You can never go to the APC.
I can never go to the APC.
Why so?
Because, you see, for the first time in the annals of our nation, the PDP was established by those old men who were politically active in the First Republic. There was the initial problem in this country. The majority had their ways and their say, while the minorities were mere onlookers, both in the North and in the South. That was what caused the friction. That was what caused this destabilization in the First Republic. When I mentor a lot of the young people to tell them, my experiences at that time, this friction was perpetual. The nation was not stable. And it went on and on. I can't start going into details. First coup, the second, the counter coup, the Civil War. Coming back from the Civil War, we changed from the regional governments into one unitary system, and we kept telling Nigerians we borrowed the American system. But the long and short of it is that when in 1998, when General Abdulsalami was leaving, they still brought this constitution, that for me, it is so military in its outlook because it's like a pyramid. And the powers still emanate from the top, accolades, to the bottom, like you have in a military organization. But a democratic dispensation, the power must come from the base up. We copied the American system. And we have copied it. A state governor in America has his own powers. He uses the resources of his state, managing them very well for the benefit of his people. There are certain laws that the states can make, certain areas the state can make, and they still have their capital and their president. When there is need to ask for favor from your president, of course. Even policing. What is the first responsibility of any governance? It is the protection of life and properties for the people, right? Now, here, we have only one police. They just won in Egbetoku now. He runs it all the way to all the various DPOs and all the areas, he deploys them. It's not working. We don't have an effective management of the communities. In America, you have the Federal Bureau of Investigation. That is the national police. In every county, which is like the local government, they have the county police with the marshal. In the state, they have state police. So that makes it airtight. Even with that, there are still loopholes.
They still have a lot of killings.
They still have it because of this gun issue, this lawlessness. But we are saying here, there's nothing wrong. We will still reserve and keep the national. But you see, when our party founding fathers came in 1998, they sat together. They forgot their differences because somebody like Chief Bola Ige to sit in the same political room with Dr. Alex Ikweme, it was impossible. Or with Jimmy Wobodo, it was impossible.
So, I mean...
So that's why they came together and decided that, look, we want to remove this gray area, this problematic area of friction, of majority having their say and their way, while minorities...
I mean, I was asking, as a build-up to, trying to build my line of questioning tonight, and I thought that it would be good for the world to know. You've had conversation with me, and you've shown how disgusted you are with the style of politics of Bola Tinubu.
Yeah.
But for some reason, some of the friends of Bola Tinubu are now your friends. It's Governor Wike, Governor Mimiko, and the rest. One would think by affiliation or inference, just maybe you might find yourself on this side. Maybe you are seeing Bola Tinubu in a different light. Is it possible?
It's not. You know, he was governor of my state. I told them at one meeting...
And now the president of your country.
Yeah, the president of the country. Well, let's wait for the outcome of the judiciary. You know, the process is not over.
It's not.
The day the process is over and the courts pronounce him as the president, we have no other way to fight but to pray for Nigeria. You know, what the major difference between Bola and I is his methodology. His managerial style is not like me. You know, I have the background in the military and I'm a logistician in the military. You know, you don't carry your men to war without adequately doing your serious planning, intelligence gathering. It's not a matter of for you.
But Chief Judge,
yeah.
With what we have seen now so far in the almost a month of Bola Tinubu in the saddle, what do you think about his abilities and capacity so far?
It is too early in the day. You know, it's not a 100-meter dash race. He is to manage the people, whoever is there, to manage the resources of this country for the betterment of the people. It's just starting off. You don't have...
What does the start looks like?
No, reasonable. Reasonable is not perfect, but it's reasonable. At least it's better than what we had known before when he was in Lagos. Maybe he was much younger at that time, no experience. But now Lagos is not Abuja. You know, Lagos, you speak the same language, you roll from here to there, they are the same people. But in Abuja, the capital of Nigeria, every hour you find an Hausa Fulani man, you find an Ijo man, you find an Igbo man, you find a Yoruba man, and they are all coming with their problems, and you have to listen as the head of state to make sure you resolve the crisis, share whatever you want to share equally and justifiably. So it is not like you are in a homogeneous state where, like, okay, Lagos, you go from A to B. Lagos is even much better, you know, because in Lagos,
cosmopolitan nature of
cosmopolitan city and all that. But Abuja,
it's more complex.
I have been through the crannies and the corridors of power in Abuja. At least I was a governor at the age of 42, working with the president then, General Babangida, and I had worked with General Abacha and General Dia. I've also worked with Baba Obasanjo. I've also worked with President Yaradua. I worked with President Jonathan, and at the level of the villa. So you know what it takes. It's not an easy job. The only thing you can do is pray for whoever is there.
So
God will make sure that will work on his mind. It's not a matter of totalitarianism or that you know it all. You need a lot of good advisors. You need a lot of introspection. Now he's doing some balancing. We could see it may not be perfect, but so far it is reasonable.
Let me take you to the top of your training of your younger age, which is in the military.
Right.
And now he's made an audacious move by not sticking with the service chief, the past president, former president. He still used the service chiefs that was left by former President Goodluck Jonathan for a reasonable amount of time. But he just in 3 weeks, he was done and he pulled them out. So, but if you look at, first and foremost, Enuhu Ribadu as a national security advisor, and you look at, first and foremost, what got a lot of Nigerians talking was whether or not they were waiting how the President, Tinubu, is going to be able to spread out the power in such a way that it will you may not satisfy everyone, but how satisfactory do you think in terms of the federal character and nature of this country with these appointments, Chief Judge?
No, you know, for me, it is still reasonable. You know, we like I said to you, why my party, I got attracted to the party was because the founding fathers haven't realized the friction, the differences in tribe, religion, and all that, and in numbers, minority, majority. They came up with 6 geopolitical zones. You know, that's not in our national constitution. They divided Nigeria into 6 geopolitical zones and came up with the 6 top positions in the land. The president, the vice president, the Senate president, the speaker, the secretary to government, and the national chairman of the party. 6 positions, 6 zones. So every zone will take something home, unlike before. So now, when you take that home, 3 up, 3 down. After 8 years, all the 3 up will come down. So that brought this inclusivity, that oneness, that sense of belonging, that loyalty to your nation, that you are not being abandoned, you know? And that's a major crisis in this country. And sometimes I wonder, people talk about religion, they talk about tribes, they talk about... And that's why we take 1 step ahead, 10 steps back, you know? So if you don't distribute things fairly and justifiably, you will always run into problems.
Do you think that that satisfies, from your own point of view? You've been in the military.
Right.
The manner in which the president is, that's not the only appointment, not only the service chief, he made some other appointments. What is your general view,
you know,
administratively?
As the commander-in-chief, you have the Army Council, he's the chairman. You also have the Naval Board, he's the chairman. You have the Air Force Council, he's the chairman. The police service has a chairman of their own. Police service, because that's a civilian administration. But when you talk about commander-in-chief, so he has the right to appoint, to fire any of the service chiefs. It is his responsibility. Now, whether because he did it early or not, means he must have been looking generally about the situations, about reports, about the security outfit. Am I still satisfied with this chief? What is his service like? Have they provided what they are supposed to do? There's so many things that he will consider. And the commander-in-chief haven't gone, you know, discussing with various people. It is his right. That's why he is not only the president, he's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He can do that. What got me a little bit worried was that the secretary to government announced the appointments of smaller units.
Yes.
I got a little bit...
The other guards and other...
No. That should be done by the Army Council.
Or the Naval Council.
Or the Naval Board, or the Air Force Council.
So you don't think that it should come from the top? It should come from the rank of the military?
The council, the chief of army staff, you know, because you are now going to... He will have to do a reorganization of his directors of this, directors of that, you know, such top managers who will be working with him.
Automatically, with the appointment of these men as a service chief, there are people who are senior to them that are automatically out of service. And some of them who are mates are automatically out of service.
They may retain their own mates, but once they make a junior member your boss, they are telling you should just go home. You know, I think, like from what I gathered, that is cost 39. You know, and if it's cost 39 and you still have cost 38, 37 there, what are you still doing in the service? Maybe the chief of defense, the new chief of defense, maybe he's senior, I don't know. Hey, I left the service now. Most of these guys didn't even meet me when I was in the service. Yeah, so I don't know what group he belongs to and all that. If there is still a room at that upper level, they can be
accommodated, absorbed.
Otherwise,
you have to bow out. What do you think that in terms of Egbetokun, former worked with President Tinubu when he was governor of Lagos?
Did he?
He was a commissioner of police also at some point in Lagos.
Really?
In Kwara State, was an AIG, promoted newly as an AIG, brought into Abuja, now got the position. And some of other positions that have been made, Nur Ibadu as National Security Advisor, knowing that there is a major security issues in the land. You think that there is a kind? What do you make of that of the decision of the president generally?
You know, I still don't want to start saying well done or you are not done. Let's pray for this country. There are challenges. The security, internal security challenges are enormous. All right? Now, I will pray that Mr. Egbetokun, you know, when I heard him saying that what he felt inside him, because he had been through the system. He's been commissioner in operations, he's been AIG in operations. So he's saying, he's feeling like there's a tiger inside him, ready to devour all those
the enemies of
Nigeria and the internal. But one other thing I would advise him, if he wants to make sure that we are effective, let this country, let the members of the National Assembly plus the president approve state police for us. Let them go and get that report of the President Jonathan's confab report. It's there. You will still keep the national police. Because what's the total population of the police? 100 and something thousand people?
About 400,000.
About 400,000 for 200 million people? How?
Chief Judge, just about two more questions for you, sir.
Right.
One being that you said there are a few of party members of the APC who approached you and talked to you about President Bola Tinubu. Are you willing to work with him now?
No. I did.
No, I'm asking if you're willing to. You met them, but the question is, are you willing to work with Bola Tinubu?
Work with him in what format?
For a national cohesion. I mean, you had from different. You've said it on this program that you will never go to the APC.
No.
You said that
I am an irredentist
member of the PDP.
If he calls me and asks me about working for him, I have to take permission from my party because it's not an individual thing. I am still a member of that party. I represent that in everything that I do.
As a citizen of Nigeria.
As a citizen of Nigeria, if he calls me, I will go back to my party and take permission from them. Can I work with him?
But you don't have a qualms with him now?
There's no qualms. Before. It's only the qualms, like I said to you, and I'm still telling you, is the methodology in management.
All right.
That's all. And if he asks me, like they came, I mean, you know, we have a saying in Ile Yoruba that, you know, Babaja bitika kuko. In other words, the fact that the way the Americans say it is, yes, you can disagree, but you must never be undisagreeable. So that's my own point. Yeah. I don't have qualms.
I mean, but it's better when you said you were going to leave the country should Bola Tinubu become president. But it looks like you have changed your mind.
No, we are still. It's not yet over. Look, I'm going to be 80. what job am I looking for now? You know,
but you're not going on exile any longer. You change your mind on that.
I can decide I can go to anywhere I want to go. And what I told people publicly, and I will say it here, is that I was in the military for 25 years. I have spent another 25 years in politics, partisan politics. That's a total of 50 years of my life in the service of this country. Isn't that enough to take a break? So what I would do, like all the other older men do, is to say, I will no longer be playing partisan politics.
Chief Judge, I have just about less than 60 seconds, but the NEC meeting of today.
Oh, yeah.
What is the biggest lesson you think your party should have taken out of the 2023 election?
I am so happy that the meeting was called. Some people were absent, but the journey of reconciliation has started. It was brilliant for those who muted that idea that, you know, in any organization anywhere in the world, you must have some squabbles, some pettiness, some infighting and but the ability to come together, to realize those areas of mistakes committed by A or B is a lesson. And I quote this, General Patton, he was the General Powell. He was the American chairman of Joint Chiefs, like our own equivalent of defense chief. He said, in life, we make mistakes. But if you learn to correct the mistakes and learn the fallouts from that, it's no longer a mistake, because you will not be able to repeat the pitfalls. But if you make an error and refuse to learn from that error, it becomes a perpetual error. So that's well said. So today's meeting was quite encouraging. It's the first one. You know, it's not a 100-meter dash race. At least that we can come together. We accepted that all sides, or everybody had sinned. Right?
Yeah.
There is no winner, no loser, no winner.
No.
So
right.
let's come together, start it up, set up certain committees that will go into serious post-mortem analysis after the court would have decided. It was beautiful.
All right. Chief Olabode George, a former military governor in Ondo State and a member of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you so much indeed for your time. I appreciate you for coming into our studio today.
As always.
Thank you so much.
My
I appreciate it, sir.
My pleasure.
We'll take a break, everyone, and when we return, more insight and perspectives on the Tinubu presidency, the internal APC workings, and how the last month or so has been in this country with Tinubu in the saddle. We'll be getting some perspective. Ismail Ahmed, a leader of the APC, will be joining us next. We'll be right back, everyone.
Oga, that madam be outside. She don't come.
Daily activities comes with different challenges. In a bid to accomplish your daily task, malaria has a way of getting you into distress. P-Alaxin anti-malaria keeps you capable and ensures you deliver against all odds.
Madam. I feel your face don't calm down. You like say malaria no work. Malaria don't run. Turn to P-Alaxin anti-malaria medicine. I thank you. Madam, thank you.
P-Alaxin, marketed by Greenlight Pharmaceuticals Limited. P-Alaxin defeats malaria.
When we celebrate the start of life's journey, we marry in colors. With our proudly Nigerian Dulux paints, now available in any color. Express your world however you want it. Visit a Dulux Color Center to get any color instantly.
Dulux, let's color.
You're heading home from work. In the busy traffic, your car breaks down. Car horns blast. Your car is pushed aside. You call for help. Phone battery blinks and dies. You take a cab. Few miles, tire bursts. What a day. Frustrated, sweating, and tired. Nearing home, darkness envelops the street. Wow, just one house is bubbling with life. Brilliant lights, loud music, smiling wife, all welcome you.
We alone have light?
Yes, it's JRB Solar Energy Systems, my anniversary present to us.
No matter how dark life is, the sun is gonna shine on everything you do. JRB solar inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar streetlights, and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. JRB, the sun is gonna shine on everything you do.
The Duchess International Hospital opened its doors in October 2021. The mission of the hospital is to reverse medical tourism. We take particular care here at the Duchess to bring together a combination of the brightest and the best locally, as well as Nigerians in the diaspora who are interested in returning to do very good work for the benefit of our patients here in this country.
The good thing is that we have all international expertise here, all international facilities here, international people working here. Everything is coming together in a space which was considered not great in terms of the availability of healthcare.
Access Bank, of course, has been able to provide us with a robust range of products and services that has enabled us to deliver that standard and quality of healthcare that is integral to our mission as an organization.
Let's get back to the conversation. I'm now being joined by a former national youth leader of the APC and a former presidential aide to former president on social investment, Mr. Ismail Ahmed, and a lawyer as well. Thank you so much indeed for coming.
Thank you for having me.
How's it been?
Very
Your party,
good.
you campaigned, you won the election.
Yes, we did.
Albeit there is the case in court, APM,
As
PDP.
usual.
PDP and Labour Party are challenging the outcome of that election. But for the past weeks of President Tinubu's activities in the saddle, I mean, what kind of response is your party getting from the Nigerian people?
Well, I think I will summarize it by just saying that people are actually holding their hands right now and singing Kumbaya.
Really?
Oh, yes. A lot of people you asked me about my party members are elated, they're happy, and you could even see a simple example by Baba Bode George now, who you know is an ardent critic of President Bola Tinubu as a person and his style of management. But right now, in his interview with you right now, you know, for someone like him to go as far as saying he thinks the start has been reasonable and he has hopefully jettisoned his plan to relocate out of the country if Bola won. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu won the election, and he is winning the hearts and minds of the country. It's fantastic.
There are those who will say it's still the honeymoon period, and there are those who will say, well it's too early to judge.
Let me tell you this. If you sit down with the president, you get a sense of somebody who understands what he's coming to do. You understand who understands his place, who wants his name and his place in history, and what his legacy to be from day one. And you see a man who understands that we had an election, that we had about 26 to 27 million votes. We got about 9 million votes. We got 14 million votes of people that voted against us, or rather for other political parties. So he knows from the get-go, from the day he was announced as the winner by INEC, he knew that the only way he could win the minds and hearts of people is by performing. And every conversation that he has held, every meeting that I've had the privilege to be in, or spoken to someone who was in a meeting that the president was, you know, I mean, you could tell that his mind is in the right place, that his attitude towards the development and the security and the economy of this country is in the right place. So none of this move is surprising to a lot of people that have come in close contact with him, understand what his fervor and his ferocious patriotism is, and what he intends to do for the country. So we hope that this honeymoon is going to last to the end of the marriage.
The hope is that he becomes the president. That's the hope of continue to be president. That is,
he will continue to be president. What do you mean by that?
There is a case in court. And you are a lawyer.
Can we focus on the performance of the president?
That up until the very final court in the land, this case might well, we can keep our fingers crossed and see what happens in the end. Even him cannot be able to determine as the cases are being argued in court. And so there are those who believe that their mandates is being stolen and they will get it. But there are those who believe that President Tinubu didn't rightfully win the election, and they're arguing it in court, and for them to argue. And so the question will be that some of the hard choices that he has had to make, the removal of subsidy and the consequent effect, 159% increase, the automatic influence of VAT, inference of VAT on the economy, the price of commodity, the hardship a lot of people are experiencing in terms of the money they spend, the money that has been also been threatened by the rate of inflation that he met in office, and some other decisions that he has made that has also caused a bit of a stir. The question is whether or not within the renewed Hope Manifesto, the place of the average Nigerian, now they're talking about a change in the minimum wage, the totality of the picture. With the interaction you've had with the president, what kind of picture does he have for the very people in the lower ladder of the strata?
He understands that it's all about them, really. You know, like you rightly pointed out, most of these difficulties that he came to meet them in office, right? And he's well aware that these are the existing situation. But we face an economic existential threat with subsidy, for example, that everyone, including the people that contested against him, everyone agreed that it had to go, you know. And the president is so skillful in terms of his political, prowess to say that, most of the hard decisions that you would have to take that would benefit the country in the long term, you would have to take them within the first 6 months so that you'll be able to set the course straight. And from day one, he said it, the subsidy had to go. Well, initially there was already...
You believe that was a knee-jerk approach?
Oh, no, that wasn't a knee-jerk approach.
Plan,
there was only... Hold on, can I answer the question, Mr. Shim? There was already the budget of 2023 do not extend the subsidy above June in any case, so all what he did was somebody that just had to announce it, because budget-wise, it was not included in the budget. So even if we hadn't announced it, there was no way, because there was no provision for it in the budget. And so it had to go. The new act, the PIA Act that was signed by President Muhammadu Buhari, had already envisioned the fact that there will be no subsidies. That would be the only condition for other foreign investors to be able to come in, and other investors to be able to participate in the oil and gas business. So he announced it completely. That was a gusto move. That was a real move. And then now there is a spirited effort, between the government and major stakeholders in the oil and gas industry to be able to manage the subsidy removal going forward. But his mind and his heart, from what I have seen and heard, directly and indirectly, is always on the people at the bottom of the ladder. And that's why he's always talking about, what do we do about minimum wage? How do we allow this, the poor people to breathe in this situation. This economy is choking. The government is losing revenue. There's a lot of leakages. There's redundancy. There's duplicity. There is too much overhead cost. What do we do to all constrict it, to be able to make sure that the monies of this country work for the people of this country? And that's exactly what he's doing.
Could there be a possibility of, because in all of these things that you have mentioned and that you have attributed to the president, duplicity, plugging loop, and you're not the first person that is saying this to me. It does look like really the president is saying all of these things. Are there a possibility of a merger of agencies or parastatals?
There is a proposal in some respect of that, yes. In some,
and there is now a special advisor, Adizat, to harmonize policy. She's now going to be in charge of policy harmonization.
It's a policy formulation and policy harmonization.
So your party is really bent on following the policy that you have set up.
We intend to do that. Yes, there's a roadmap. There's a lot of the Policy Advisory Council of the president that the president set up before swearing in came up with a lot of different proposals. Of course, he's going to look at it, make sure that these things are implementable, and then see how we'll be able to go ahead and implement a lot of decentralization of power from the federal to the state.
I saw a document about the action plan of the president. Could that be true?
Those are leaked documents. So
could that be true?
None of them is absolutely foolproof.
But there might be some truth.
No. I know that there is a move to look at how we can propose the merger of some redundant and some proliferated agencies that
is the government really very detailed in that? That order that you have actually planned out?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There are details.
3 months, 6 months,
6 months, 100 days.
You've had it planned out?
Absolutely.
In terms of policy direction?
Policy direction, implementation, when to implement deliverables, key performance indicators, the kinds of people we want, the kind of meritocracy. If you can see some of the people that are appointed into special advisory role as we speak, is deliberate. None of them is a knee-jerk approach. None of them is not well thought through. Everything is well thought out, discussed, basically consulted. It's on point. The president.
If you look at the service chiefs and the appointment that's been made so far, it's been one day, one major, but the president has traveled. The villa has been very busy. If you know those who are working in the villa, they'll say, for several hours, this president will be in the office. True. And it doesn't close until night falls. And unlike what they've seen in the past, so it does look like there is, look at what is the painting on that map and tell us, is it deliberate that these are to come from most parts of the country to give a semblance of a federal character nature?
I think the primary consideration for him is merit. The primary consideration is merit. The secondary consideration is probably merit as well. He understands that we are in a security crisis in so many parts of this country. He's looking for some of the people that have demonstrated capacity to solve these problems in their various units, be it the Air Force, Navy, and the Army. And this is a result of that. The president is thinking about solutions. He's thinking about what can you do to help this country move from point A to point B. That's always been what he's saying, not what you want to be. What can you do? Let what you want to be an outcome of what you are trying to do for the country, an inestimable value that you bring to the table. And this is the result of some of the people that he appointed, is the people that he has seen their track record. He has discussed them with people some of his advisors, and these are the people that came up. The fact that there is a spread this way ticks the political box as well, because there will also be the political consideration of spread,
DSS
and that makes it.
DSS appointment is not there. Mr. Bichi seems to be still in office. The NIA, that appointment has not been made yet. It does look like he's maintaining and retaining those.
Well, it is the prerogative of the president. It's a security matter. He hasn't discussed it with. I'm sure he's going to discuss it with his security advisors. But for now, this is what we have. When the time comes for any other thing, I'm sure he'll make sure.
The dissolution of the board of the parastatals.
Welcome idea, by the way.
Really?
Absolutely.
So it comes to the fact that those who criticize the past government, that they made last-minute approvals and appointments and it didn't go down well with some members of your party.
Yes, a lot of members of our party were not happy with those last-minute appointments. It's true. I'm not going to lie about that.
That's perhaps the reason why.
No, I think every president that comes usually does that, because the boards are the soft targets that you have to take out to be able to appease a lot of, political foot soldiers and other critical members of the general public, so to speak. So I guess this president is very deliberate about it. We've come. There are a lot of people. We have political debt. Let's not lie about it. There are a lot of people that have put in everything they have. And when we say politicians, people just have this notion that they are just people who run around in campaigns and don't do anything. It's very insulting the way people describe politicians. Yeah. These are technical people with expertise, with their degrees, who understand what they are doing, and who have worked hard, because everybody that has worked in any campaign is looking for something. And, the president has gotten there, he said, you know what, let's look at the people who, based on merit, deserve this and who have worked hard and to be able to join it. So the solution is the first part. The second part, of course, is the reconstitution.
My final question to you, Ismail, in just about 40 seconds so we can close, is going to be the election has left your party impaired in one way. There are
How so? You win elections?
You might not be truthful about that. But there are those things. I mean, even the National Assembly election has left some people unhappy with some issues. Then also the fact that not every Nigerian loves your party. In fact, not every Nigerian wants the President Tinubu to be the president of Nigeria.
It is expected.
How is your party, has your party realized it, and are you working to ensure that there is a management of all of these issues from the point of view of crisis management within the party and to the Nigerian people?
Let me say this to you. The most effective way to reconcile or to bring in an enemy or someone that does not agree with you is your performance. And the president has been performing stellarly well and excellently well. I have received phone calls. I have seen it on Twitter. I have seen it on social media, how many converts we've had in the last 3 weeks as a result of the president's performance. In terms of the internal squabbles within the political party itself, that will continue to resolve. It's an ongoing issue. A party is an elite organization with a lot of people with egos and baggages. Some people will cross each other, but would come to an arrangement. The president is leading the charge. He's dealing with the government. He'll come back to the party issue at the right time.
Ismail Ahmed, a very close ally of the president, one of those who have the ears of President Bola Tinubu.
Did I say that? You're the one saying that too.
Maybe you're thinking you need security because of that. All right. It's the fact that I made the announcement because I know you have the ears of the president. You are close. You are an inner circle member.
No, I'm just
a former presidential aide on social investment, a lawyer, and a former national youth leader of the APC. Thank you so much, Ismail, for coming.
Thank you for having me, Shema.
But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. God bless Nigeria.
You're operating here for over 12 years. And the system of the road this time around, over 3 years now, is too bad. To the point that a place that would take us for 5 minutes, it will take us for 5 hours.
This project was awarded in 2018 by the federal government to the Dangote Group at a cost of 72.9 billion naira, which will start off at the Apapa Port Gate, Creek Road, Tinkan Island, Beachland, and run through the Oworun-Shoki to the Ojota Tollgate end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. It is going to be the first major reconstruction since it was built in 1975. Today, the Dangote Group, with its partners, are fixing the roads with a long-term objective in mind. The company opted for the continuously reinforced concrete pavement, CRCP, in simple terms, concrete road. when the road